week on Back in a Bit, Coffee on Campus,
Upstart Editorial,
and the Smiths.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Back in a Bit. I am your host, Lauren Devine.
And I'm Cody Matheson Lowe.
How are you today, Cody?
I'm very good. Had a good day, nice. It's kind of starting to get a bit more sunny outside, so it's good. How's your weekend been?
Weekend? Oh, I went out and saw the new It Chapter 2.
Ooh, was it good?
Scary. It was okay. I don't want to give too much away just in case people haven't seen it yet, but it was pretty okay.
What about you, Jess? How was your weekend?
Yeah, not too bad. I watched some horror movies as well, but I haven't seen it yet, and I'm looking forward to it. So no spoilers.
I won't spoil anything. Now, don't forget you can have your say on any of the topics that we bring up on Back in a Bit via our socials. So please hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or catch up on anything you missed via Upstart on YouTube.
And you can watch the episode and any other episodes as well from the past weeks. First things first, though, let's get into the latest news of Jess. Jess, what's happening in the news today?
Thanks, Cody. So in world news this week, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has had a tough week with negotiations to secure a Brexit, that is, the United Kingdom leaving the European Union, stalling yet again. Johnson vowed to complete Brexit by the October 31 deadline, even if an exit agreement had not been reached. The exit agreement would include resolving issues like division of financial assets between the UK and the remainder of the Union, what rights British and European citizens would have, borders, and how to go about resolving any future disputes. The UK Parliament voted on a bill to delay a no-deal Brexit, causing Johnson to immediately call for an election. Parliament voted against him in a move some have called humiliating for the embattled Prime Minister. And here in Australia, trans and gender diverse Tasmanians are able to change the gender marker on their birth certificate without undergoing gender affirmation surgery after new laws were introduced in this past week. The Tasmanian Reform Bill passed in April, with a similar reform bill passed in Victorian Parliament on August 28. And in Perth, plans for a protest barbecue have been cancelled after an overwhelming response. When Perth woman Scylla Carden took her neighbours to court to prevent them from using their backyard barbecue, which wafted smell of meat onto her property, she didn't expect over 24,000 people to RSVP to an event where they would all cook meat outside of her house. Miss Carden, who is a vegan, also complained about neighbours' cigarette smoke, chairs scraping on concrete, reflective light, pet birds, and the sounds of children playing basketball. The Supreme Court said that Ms. Carden's demands were not reasonable, but one neighbour told Channel 9 that he had removed his barbecue and banned his children from playing basketball in their own home. So, Cody, Lauren, some pretty big news coming out of the UK this week. What do you guys think about Brexit?
Personally, I think it's one of those things that's very strange. It feels like it's been around for ages, and they've done so many things to try and stop it. Not stop it, to make it better. You have a look at the changing of the Prime Minister and Theresa May to bring in Boris Johnson, who was one of the original advocates of Brexit. There was also how many times has it gone through the government and gone through their courts just to try and get at least something going. I think it's if I was a British citizen, I think I would be very annoyed. You just want a resolution. Either A, it's okay, it can't work, and we just won't do it, or B, it's gotta happen. Like, at this point, it's a bit too much, I reckon.
I'm just finding it really hard to keep up with what's happening because there's just change after change, week after week. And I'm struggling to find out what's happening. So I
really
can just
difficult.
imagine how the British people over there are feeling.
Absolutely. And even sort of with the news that we've just sort of talked about, with everything that's happening with it, is that it's possible that today, even right now, they might be voting on whether or not they're going to call another snap election. And it's moving so quickly, but still at the same time, nothing seems to be happening. And Cody, what you were saying about, Theresa May, remember that she was only brought in as Prime Minister to get Brexit to go through, and that was over 3 years ago now. So it's certainly an interesting story that I'll be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, I think we'll have to keep an eye out on it. I think, definitely something that I'm still interested in and a lot of people are interested in because it's such a big thing. Anyway, moving on. Thanks, Jess, for the news. Jess here actually took a look at coffee on La Trobe's campus and what may be the best options. Let's take a look.
Hi everyone, it's Jess here. I'm on campus here today and I have been thinking, We do a lot of things really well here at La Trobe. We look after our students. There's some great programs and some societies and clubs that are run by students and for students. We've got a great range of classes to choose from. There's one thing that everybody is constantly talking about, and that is coffee. Now, I get my coffee at Bachelor of Coffee, which is just behind me over here. I like to go there because they use the Skip app, so I can actually order my coffee from class before I leave, and it's ready for me to pick up by the time that I get there, and I can just keep moving to my next class. But where does everyone else like to get their coffee? I'm going to go and find out.
Some people on campus choose where to buy their coffee based on what they order.
Writer's block. My coffee order is a soy cappuccino and a vegan muffin, and they have lots of vegan options, so that's why I come here.
Some people don't like coffee at all.
Like, I don't really actually like coffee, I just like chai and stuff.
I just drink mochas.
And for others, it's a necessity.
Because I can't survive, I can't function without it, yeah.
Everyone seems to have their own idea about where to get the best cup of coffee on campus.
The bacon beans. Graffellis, coffee roasters.
Bacon beans.
Probably the Bachelor of Coffee over, like, that way.
But there's one place on campus that everyone seems to agree. If you're a coffee snob, it's the place to go. And it's called House of Cards. No, not that one. This one.
The House of Cards, because I love the vibe around the cafe, because it's like open air. Like if the weather is like in spring or summer, I think everyone could enjoy the vibe around.
House of Cards don't ask for your name. They give you a playing card, and that's what they call out when your order is ready. Everyone I spoke to seemed to love the gimmick. So, with all of the people I've spoken to today, the big question is, am I going to change where I get my coffee? Nah, I'm a creature of habit. I'll keep ordering a latte with 1 sugar from my phone and picking it up from Bachelor of Coffee. I'm Jessica Leonard for Back in a Bit.
So, Jess, tell us about your experience.
Well, everybody's got a very strong opinion about their coffee was the main thing I learned. And to be honest, it didn't really surprise me. I have very strong coffee opinions about what the correct opinion is on coffee. But what do you guys think? Coffee, Lauren?
Not coffee.
Not coffee?
I don't like coffee. I like a good white hot chocolate.
Okay.
With a little bit of dusting of the chocolate on top. Delicious. That's all my fix I need.
And is there anywhere on campus where you can get that?
Graffellis.
Graffellis, okay.
My favourite. Cody?
I'm also love Graffellis.
Excellent.
I have a mentality of I always order a cappuccino, and I always have to get like the most quantity for my money. I'm not necessarily one of those people that's like I have to go to this very sleek place somewhere in the city that you have to go through 5 alleyways to get to. Personally, I just want a cheap coffee that has a lot of coffee. Like I drink a lot of coffee, and I think some places, definitely around La Trobe and around the city, I sometimes go like, this is like that small. And it's cost me $5. It's like a shot.
But if you get a smaller coffee, then it's stronger and you can taste it, and sometimes it's like, delicious.
So
Don't
quality
you think?
over quantity?
Oh, absolutely. And if you get a coffee that's too big, I think it sort of dilutes the delicious coffeeness of it a little bit too much for me.
All right, do you have any recommendations where to get your coffee?
On campus, I like to go to Bachelor of Coffee. When I'm in the city, there's a couple of different places I like. There's one called Brother Baba Budan, which is on Little Burke Street that I like, so go and check it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll have to if I'm around there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that, Jess. All right, up next, we'll have a look at the Upstart Editorial, our brothers and sisters over at the editorial side.
My name is Cody, and I'm a Chief of Staff. My name is Cody, and I'm a Chief of Staff for the Upstart Magazine.
My name is Monique, and I'm a writer for Upstart.
My name is Yulia Fakina. I am just a writer for Upstart Editorial. Well, Upstart is a magazine, student-based magazine, where students contribute to every semester.
You learn so much, how to write hard news, how to write feature story, profile interviews, and all that kind of stuff. It's my second time doing Upstart Editorial. I joined because I think it's great experience. I think it's really important to have articles that have been published when you apply for a job, because that's what your employers want.
I guess I just wanted to gain experience as a writer. I'm currently in a law and media and communications degree, so I just wanted to test out which side I like a little bit more, I guess, and this is just helping me get there.
I wrote a story on female backpackers and like the behinds of it. So there's a lot of sexual harassment, underpay, and all kind of stuff like that. So I had to interview a couple of girls, and so it was not easy, and I think it was interesting for me to do that.
My favourite article so far is probably a little bit of a controversial one. I wrote about the George Pell appeal, and it was just a news article, so there wasn't really any opinion based in it, but it went for a little bit of a ride on Facebook.
The team is pretty fun. Like, that's what we're trying to do. We don't want it to be too tensed or whatever. Like, we're writing, but we're also talking, and it's a good way to make friends.
I am a much more confident writer. I'm a better writer. I'm not scared to go for bigger articles. I'm not afraid to contact people who's got influence within the society.
I highly recommend people to do Upstart, simply for experience, basically.
Even if you're not majoring in journalism, if you're doing PR or if you're doing media studies, apply to do Upstart Editorial or Live. That will be the most valid experience that you will get during your 3 years of your degree.
I think if you're worried about not knowing what you want to do after university, if you are in this degree or any media and communications major really, for myself it's been a really good experience and I would recommend it to anyone.
Definitely apply for Upstart Editorial.
Awesome. Well, joining us in studio now is Ollie Nash, who has been a part of the Upstart Editorial team. How's it going?
Really good. How are you going?
Yeah, good. So let's just ask the question. Why did you join the Upstart Editorial team?
So I joined because just looking at the brief that gets sent out in the email to apply for it, just looks like a really hands-on and real-life experience type subject. So not just doing assignments, but actually going out, getting interviews and producing featured content that you're going to be producing once you leave uni and into the workforce.
Is there a reason why you've done it a second time?
Well, I think the first time was a bit of sort of a learning experience, like learning out all the, getting into deadlines and getting stuff done under time pressure. And I think this semester I wanted to try and get on top of it and be really, sort of keep progressing my writing or pitching and editing and all that kind of thing. So it was good to do it again.
And can you run us through a typical news shift with Upstart?
Yeah, so news shift will come into the media hub just behind us, and we'll basically be checking the news for that morning. And then our chief of staff, Liam, he'll sort of say, all right, Ollie, you're doing that story, Matt, you're doing that story, and Alex, you're doing that story. And then we produce the pieces, and then we all sort of sub and edit each other's pieces, do some social media for them, get a photo, and publish it. So, it's good fun.
You just mentioned your team there. Can we talk about the dynamics?
Yeah, so I'm a staff writer, and we have another 2 staff writers, Alex and Hugh. And then Liam's our chief of staff, so he's the boss man, you might say. And then, so he's basically just overseeing the whole project while we sort of doing research on the news for the day and the stories that we're going to be writing. Then we get our photos and social media done and publish.
And is there a reason why you didn't want to join us here? La Trobe Live, doing the Upstart Live team?
Well, I'm not sure how good I'd go in front of the microphone and the pressure that you guys face, so I like to be behind the computer doing the writing. So, I think live is certainly something I want to learn about later on, but I just wanted to get my writing down pat at first,
What's the work like the workload like at the editorial team?
It's pretty hectic. So you basically... You pitch your feature ideas at the weekly meeting, and then you're working on them the whole semester. So you've got 5 feature stories to produce during the semester. So, and then obviously in between you got to do your news shifts as well during the week. So it's non-stop really. You'll pitch one, do your feature, publish that, then you'll be mid producing that feature. You'll be pitching your second one and then starting that one. So sort of non-stop for the 12 weeks, but it's good to keep you busy, I guess.
And just talking about the feature stories, what sort of stories do you prefer to write about? Is there any stories you prefer, or do you just generally go with what's in the news?
So I'm a sports lover. I love to write about sports. So majority of my pieces have been about sports recently, but there's sort of no criteria on what you have to do and what you have to write about. So one of my recent stories was about graduate paramedics struggling to find work in Victoria. Just something that my friend has gone through, and she struggled to find some work. So it's sort of those are the feature ideas you kind of get where you just be talking to a friend, and then they'll bring up a subject, and that sort of resides in you, and you want to write a piece about it. So it's kind of fun because you can write about anything, to be honest. Yeah.
What skills can you take away from Upstart Magazine?
Everything to do with how to conduct yourself professionally once you leave uni, I think. Meeting deadlines, keeping up with emails, communication between editors and other staff writers, being able to edit your own work and produce really good content that doesn't require heaps of editing. So everything that we're going to be doing in the workforce, I think that we're learning through Upstart, which is really good, especially in for me, it's my last year, and next year I'll be in the workforce. So everything that we're going to be doing later on, we're learning now, which is good.
Excellent.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ollie, taking time out of your day. I'm sure you've got something on.
Oh, so busy being
Plenty
a uni
of
student.
deadlines to get to.
Well, I've got nothing on, but I'm all right.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Anyway, moving on. This week on The Boardroom, we take a look at the complicated relationship between Morrissey and his fan base and why some people aren't necessarily fans of the Smiths anymore. Let's take a look. The Smiths are one of the most influential bands of the 20th century. From Manchester, England, the four-piece alternative rock band only lasted 6 years. Yet, despite people's love for the band, one man is in constant pursuit to destroy what you like about them, and that is their lead singer, Morrissey. I'm Cody Mapson-Lowe, and this is The Boardroom. First, let's start off with who the band was. First, we had guitarist Johnny Marr, Andy Rourke, drummer Mike Joyce, and lead singer Morrissey to make the Smiths. The band soon became famous for songs such as Hand in Glove and This Charming Man. Here's my recommended list of Smiths songs that you should listen to. Seriously, these are amazing songs. The band's music distinguished itself from most of the music of the time. Morrissey's introspective and oftentimes critical lyrics meshed well with Johnny Marr's layering of guitars. Morrissey soon became a star in the British music scene as the frontman of the Smiths. He was a quirky individual that had a penchant for controversy.
Why do I hold flowers? I think flowers are very beautiful things, very nice and innocent things. They don't harm anybody, they don't burp, and they don't do anything ugly. So why not? It's better, I think, than waving socks about.
The band released 4 albums in a 6-year tenure, including The Queen is Dead, which music magazine NME called it the greatest album of all time. But egos and different ideologies meant the band split by 1987, and they have not reunited since. The band could have put a finality to it there, but no, the Smiths had to destroy any chance of a reunion. In 1989, 2 years after the band split, Mike Joyce and Andy Rourke started legal proceedings for royalties. Rourke settled quickly and kept 10% of the royalties, while Mike Joyce continued his legal claim. After years of legal proceedings, Joyce won, receiving $1 million in back royalties and 25% of future royalties. This is where Morrissey's complex character comes into question. Morrissey had been increasingly difficult to work with in the final year of the band. He was also difficult in the court process, according to the judge. Which brings us to the central theme of this episode. Why do Smiths fans hate Morrissey? After leaving the band, Morrissey has had success as a solo artist, releasing 12 albums over a 30-year span. Through that time, he has become a controversial figure in the music industry. Let's talk about his extremist animal rights and veganism views. Now, look, animal rights activism is good, and if you are a vegan, then all the power to you. Just don't be like Morrissey. Morrissey said that there is no difference between eating animals and pedophilia. They are both rape, violence, murder. I'm not going to speak on the behalf of any people affected by those crimes, as I have not experienced it, but I think these comments are super distasteful. Way to downplay emotional trauma to these victims by saying that if they aren't vegans, then they are exactly the same as their perpetrators. And then there's also a link from his animal rights views to some extremist and blankly racist views. Morrissey in 2010 said that you can't help but feel that the Chinese are a subspecies, referring to their treatment of animals. While it has been close to a decade since he said this, he was 50 years old and should know not to be racist. In 2018, Morrissey endorsed British far alt-right party For Britain. This party has had links to neo-Nazism in the past and anti-Islamic views as well. But that's 2018. Maybe he's changed this year? Oh, come on! Yes, that's right. Morrissey rejected allegations of racism against him, saying that the word is meaningless now. Everyone ultimately prefers their own race. Does that make everyone racist? I don't know, man. Sounds a tiny bit racist. Artist Billy Bragg summed it up best by saying that Morrissey is dragging the Smiths' reputation through the dirt, and I agree. It keeps getting harder and harder to listen to the Smiths knowing that one of the best parts of it is seemingly racist. It's hard because Morrissey's lyrics are so relatable. Many fans enjoy the Smiths due to the ideals of their songs matching with their own. Knowing that the creator of these ideals shares extremist views that you don't agree with sucks. But times change, songs don't. Just because the man you once admired turned out completely different to how you enjoyed the songs doesn't lessen the meaning. It's okay to admit that someone is an exceptional artist and also completely disagree with their viewpoints. Thank you for watching. If you want to see a longer version, you can go to Upstart Magazine's YouTube channel where we detail a lot more about Morrissey and the Smiths. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
Well, there's been plenty happening in sport this week. Brody, Lexi, welcome. What have you got for us this week?
We've got the US Open. So Canada's Bianca Andreescu defeated Serena Williams 6-3, 7-5 in her maiden Grand Slam to take out the US Open title. So denying Serena of her record equaling 24th. It's been happening again and again. But lucky for Bianca, she's just had a brilliant year. She's only 19 and just gone from strength to strength, and now has her first US Open title.
So young.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that a lot of people were surprised about, more casual tennis fans, like, who is this person? Like, they're 19?
Yeah, exactly. This time last year, she couldn't even qualify for the US Open. She tried to, but she was ranked outside the top 200. Now before this tournament, she was number 15 in the world. So she has had, what you'd say, a brilliant year.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, and those rankings really do matter in tennis, don't they?
Yeah, they definitely help you within the draw. So no doubt she'll definitely jump up, perhaps in the top 10 after this. So
keep an eye out for her.
Yeah, definitely. And then in the doubles, Ash Barty and Victoria Azarenka, they made it to the final, but they lost to Elise Mertens and Arina Sabalenka 7-5, 7-5. But the good news story to come out of it is that Ash is back at world number 1 in the singles.
Excellent news there.
Yeah, at least there's something positive that can come from this.
Good take something.
We'll take whatever we can get at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And then in the men's final, I can give you a live score update for that between Rafael Nadal and Daniil Medvedev. They each have 2 sets apiece, and we are into the final set. 5-3. Daniil, Rafael just got up 2 sets, and then Daniil broke back again. So Nadal, so it's 3-5 in the last set.
It's nice and close.
Yeah,
very close one.
Definitely.
Just quickly on Serena and Andreescu, it's interesting that a lot of the media has focused on Serena losing rather than Andreescu winning, and I think it's a bit unfair for the Canadian. I feel like, being so young and winning your first US Open, something needs to be celebrated, not commiserated because Serena lost.
Oh, absolutely.
But it happened last time with Osaka as well.
Yeah.
As soon as Serena loses, there seems to be a lot more of the American media probably wanting to focus on it.
Yeah, and particularly like what Andreescu's done. She's the first woman ever in the Open era to win the US Open in her first year of trying to. So, I mean, it's a huge feat, and I definitely think more attention should be put onto that.
Absolutely.
100%. In other international sports, the Boomers have continued their undefeated run at the FIBA World Cup. They beat the Dominican Republic 82-76. It was a good game, and they will play France tonight to continue their run. but they have faced a little bit of criticism. Lithuanian coach said that they're forced to play rugby when they played Australia. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Australia just too rough, or do the Lithuanians need to harden up?
Australia does have a reputation for being a bit of a hard-hitting sort of nation when it comes to sports, but I don't know. It feels like if it's within the rules, and the refs aren't pulling up on it,
I think, maybe as a professional athlete, you need to be able to adjust. I mean, it's your job. You're representing your nation.
Yeah.
It's your job to play.
Exactly.
Might as well just harden up a little bit just to keep up.
It's just strange. The Lithuanian basketball team, they don't necessarily have like a reputation of being complainers. Or
Yeah,
whatnot,
exactly
so.
right. It's very odd.
And again, we are a bit biased.
Yeah, well,
as Lithuanians.
And there's some hot news straight off the press from SBS.
Yeah, so earlier this morning at about 8 o'clock, the SBS finally agreed to a deal with the NBA and the WNBA to broadcast live games for the upcoming season. So SBS will be now broadcasting 2 live NBA games each week and 1 live WNBA game, which is huge. You've got such a big growing sport and such a large NBA and WNBA community in Australia. It's about time that we've got this free to air.
Yeah, and it seems like SBS has been doing a bit of a push for more basketball on their TV because they also have a deal with the NBL, right?
Yeah, that's right. They do show a lot of the NBL, which is good. And that's a growing league as well, especially now with some big stars coming in. So it's really good to see. Yeah.
So excellent, it's free to air. Anyone can watch it now.
Yeah, that's it. A couple of games a week.
Get the marquee games in there.
Yeah.
Do my Oklahoma City Thunder boys never? Yeah. They don't have Russell Westbrook anymore.
It's going to be a rough year for you, mate. And then moving on to the Ashes, Australia have managed to retain them, which is huge. Got up on the back of Steve Smith, had a double century in the first innings, and then got to 82 in the second just to really cap it off. But it wasn't without the help of a really good bowling attack from Cummins and Hazelwood, who just tore through the English batting team.
Yeah,
which is great.
And I think Steve Smith definitely has earned his way back. I think
winning the hearts again.
Yeah, considering what happened and the dark spot of Australia.
I mean, to be fair, it was pretty dark, but he's really stepped up.
It didn't make Australia look good. It didn't make our cricket team look good. And while it was 3 players who did the deed, unfortunately, all the players kind of got sumped in.
Yeah.
And it's good to see guys like Cummins and Hazelwood, really shining because a team can't matter on just one player.
That's it. Especially in cricket, you need to have players on both ends. But Lexi, women's cricket, what's happening there?
Yeah, so the women's cricket team have taken out the one-day international series against the West Indies. They won both day 1 and day 2. Day 2 they won by 151 runs, which came off Elise Perry's player of the match performance, where she scored an unbeaten 112 off 118 and took a wicket of her own in the bowling. And it was a great batting performance across the board for Australia, with 4 batsmen scoring above 50, and particularly Ash Gardner, who reached the fastest ever 50 in a one-day international for the Australian women's cricket team. And hit an unbeaten 57 off 25. So
that's excellent. We're giving the guys a run for their money.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, as I was saying before, it just matters so much when you have a consistent team. Yeah. And I definitely feel like ODs are way harder to make 50s and 100s. You've got a set limit,
And the girls are doing it consistently. Like in the previous day, Meg Lanning scored 121 or 2. So it's all of them are contributing and putting out amazing performances.
It's really good to see cricket Australia in general really come back from, like you said, what were dark times and have some success now. It's good.
Well, excellent. Thank you so much for joining us, the both of you. Always excited to hear what's happening in the sport world.
We'll keep up next week, see what's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have this week. Now, if you do want to check out the episode, you can go to Upstart Magazine's YouTube channel. We also stream it live on Facebook, Upstart Magazine, if you want to watch us live.
All right. Well, I've been Lauren Devine.
I've been Cody Mathson Lowe.
And we'll be back in a bit.